Hello.
Guten Tag.
Konnichiwa.
Hola.
Bonjour.
Kaixo.
Привитание.
Ni hao.
Good day. Hey.
Namaste.
Yasha. Dobar dan.
Ciao.
Salut. Labas.
Merhaba.
Assalamu alaikum.
Hello.
Culture is complicated. Comprehending any culture is a difficult task, especially if traditions and customs differ from your own. Walk into almost any workplace today and you'll likely find people of different national, racial and cultural backgrounds. As an individual, we used to suffer culture shock as we travelled from one country to the next, but today we suffer from multicultural shocks just by sitting at our own desk. In the workplace, when people from different cultural backgrounds come together, it's likely we'll stumble upon cultural roadblocks because we all think differently about the purpose of business. Cross-cultural and other differences must be set aside for the sake of productivity. But first, you have to recognise them. Culture is often described as the way we do things around here. So what exactly does that mean? There are several parameters that help us understand the way people do things around here. There are too many to mention them all here, but to get a flavour for cross-cultural communication, I'll mention 3 of them. First is the perception of time. In some countries like Germany, Switzerland, China and Japan, punctuality is considered important, and being late would be considered at best rude and at worst an insult. However, in countries such as those of South America and the Middle East, being on time does not carry the same sense of importance or urgency. Some people view time as fixed, while others feel that time is fluid or even infinite. This really has implications for those who work in a deadline, scheduled and structured work environment. Secondly, cultures may be either direct or indirect in the way they communicate. Direct cultures, like most Northern Europeans, North Americans and Anglo cultures, say what they mean and mean what they say. They rely more on content rather than on context. They give value to the written word rather than oral statements. To some people, they can appear extremely rude, unfriendly and distant. Indirect cultures rely heavily on non-verbal signs and prefer indirectness, politeness and ambiguity. The most important thing for these cultures is to preserve the relationship. This is particularly true of the Latin, Arab, Asian and African cultures. For example, a friend of mine was staying with a Chinese family, and when she stated that she intended to go out to town in the evening, the mother said, "There is no bus." This was said on 2 more occasions to my friend, when she had indeed seen a bus. She then began to understand that by saying there is no bus, it was the mother's way of saying that she shouldn't go. Thirdly, cultures may have strict adherence to the rules, whilst others bend them to suit the situation. All these characteristics have implications in the workplace, and the more we understand about cross-cultural differences, the better able we are able to work more productively together. We should never denigrate any other culture, but rather help people to understand the relationship between their own culture and the dominant culture. When you understand another culture or language, it doesn't mean that you have to lose your own. I always say, language is what we hear, culture is how we understand.